Here's Clay Travis.
Live from the Geico Outkick Studios. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us. Monday edition. We've got a lot to dive into. So many different stories in college football and in the NFL. We are, of course, live in the Geico Outkick Studios, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. We're joined now by Sean Merriman. He's got the Lights Out podcast with iHeart. Encourage you to go check it out. Sean doing some good work there. And Sean, obviously, we bring you on every Monday now to talk about the NFL. And the overwhelming biggest story in the NFL is the injury to Dak Prescott. He's out for the season. He was playing on his franchise tag. I want to start with this question for you. What is, when you were on the field, the toughest injury situation that you ever saw to someone on one of your teams, college or pro, and what did it do to the team?
Well, I would say the Drew Brees' injury was probably the worst I've seen up close while being on the field and watching this shoulder dislocate. You can almost hear the dislocation from 10 to 15 yards away. And just painful screams. And then knowing, too, it was Drew Brees, right? It wasn't just like, a guy that we didn't need or something like that. It was our starting quarterback. And I actually got a chance to watch his rehab process during the whole offseason in San Diego. So, when you see things like that, it changes you. It really does because, it's a real possibility. And the first thing I looked at when I saw Dak Prescott's ankle, I was like, my God, I hope his family and friends, and just seeing Drew Brees that close up and personal, but the guy's family and his friends, his coaches, high school coaches and people he grew up with, seeing that on national TV has to be disheartening.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely brutal to think about. Now, there's so many different angles there. What do you think the Cowboys are legitimately thinking on both the offensive and the defensive side of the ball? They're sitting at 2-3. They are in first place in the NFC East. It's not a great division. How much confidence do you think they have legitimately in Andy Dalton?
Well, the reason why they brought Andy in the beginning, and I always said this, is that Andy Dalton started on several teams in the NFL. And with Dak's contract situation, not knowing what was going to happen there, whether he was going to be sign a long-term deal, he's going to take the franchise and possibly move on from the Cowboys after this year. It was just a lot of uncertainty. So you have Andy Dalton there, who's a proven starter in the NFL. And I'm not saying he's better than Dak Prescott or he's going to go and win those guys a championship, but I don't expect there to be a huge or significant amount of drop-off. And Dak has been playing extremely well. But Andy Dalton can go in there, and Andy can get it done.
Sean, I said earlier in the show, this is why I never, ever, ever blame athletes for trying to make as much money as they possibly can when they can. I am a capitalist. I want everybody out there listening to us to make as much money as they possibly can off of their labor. But you hear a lot of fans, a lot of media people too, who quibble and get upset when guys decide to make the business side of the sport stand out. When you look at Dak turning down a multi-year deal, do you think that went through his head at all as he has gone through recognizing how seriously he was injured? Would it go through most athletes' heads?
Well, there's no doubt about it. He should be pissed off at his representation. No doubt about that. Maybe if it was his choice to go and play and to take the franchise and bet on himself, maybe it was his choice, but his representation should have told him to not go on the field. All right, he's played up to his worth. He deserved a big contract, and being a starting quarterback of a team that needs you, you don't go on the field. Period. So it was a little bit upsetting to me. Some of the things that were said, and they're going to hold this against him in the contract negotiation going forward. That he's going to have to start from ground zero and prove that he can play again, and he's healthy enough to lead the team again and basically start from scratch. He really is, and they're going to use that against him. And it just, so many things go through your mind as a player because now your future's uncertain. And you can say all you want that you don't care, you made the right decision, but you land up in the hospital bed and you don't know what's going to happen. You got to be questioning yourself a little bit.
We're talking to Sean Merriman, Lights Out podcast. Encourage you to go listen. Former NFL star who has been through a lot of these battles on the field. Okay, so Dak and the Cowboys, huge story. There are a bunch of other big stories that came out of the NFL that I want to get your read on. How big of a win was it for the Raiders to go on the road and beat the Chiefs? And I don't know about you, but I've never seen somebody make Patrick Mahomes run around as much as the Raiders did. What did they do to make him look? He made some unbelievable throws still, but they didn't let him be comfortable in the pocket. What did they do so well defensively to make that happen? Because offensively, I think the Raiders are pretty good, but I didn't expect them to get pressure on the Chiefs like they did.
I think you hit it right on the head. He never got comfortable. Even the times where he did have time to throw the ball, he remembered the last few plays where he was getting chased around. He wasn't able to maybe square his shoulders up and throw the ball down the field, or he had somebody on his back chasing him from the opposite side. He had to throw across body. He never got comfortable. And even, you're going to give up some big plays to Patrick Mahomes. And my coach would always just tell me, those guys get paid too. And that's Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the National Football League. He's going to make some plays regardless of whatever defense you put out there on him. But the fact is, he looked very uncomfortable in certain situations, and he always looked like he was under duress, like he was going to be hit, even when he wasn't. Feet just never really got set up under him. It just looked like he was always thinking, and I don't think that we've seen him, frustrated like that in a very long time, if ever.
What does it mean going forward in the AFC West? Is that just a kind of standalone aberration game, or do you think when you see the Chargers, who played the Chiefs competitively, and now you see the Raiders, is there more of a challenge maybe in the AFC West than most people out there, including me, would have thought coming into this season?
Well, look, the Raiders, I don't think anyone expected them to be playing like they're playing right now, and then how they played the Chiefs. And, what's happening now as of late is you're showing that gap because you look at the AFC West and you automatically assume that the Chiefs are going to be running away with it. They're the best cut team in the AFC West, and there's no one close. What we're seeing now is the gap is a lot smaller than most people think. I mean, the Chargers played well against them. They probably should have won that game. And the Raiders just showed that they can beat them. So, there's going to be a very tough division here over the next couple of years if things keep going the way they are.
What do you think about Alex Smith getting back on the field after what he has gone through since that brutal injury 2 years ago?
If you didn't feel like dropping a tear for that dude, if you didn't feel like dropping a tear for him,
especially when they showed his family in the crowd, I don't care who you were, it got a little bit dusty in the room when you were watching.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it was one of those things where, me, of course, I've been through the injury, obviously nothing that bad, but it's a long road. It's very dark. It's lonely, a lot of uncertainty, and you just don't ever know if you're going to come back the same player you were. And the injury that he had, where they were talking about leg amputations and 17 surgeries and these things, and to see his family, this rehab process. I don't know if you guys got a chance to check out the video they put out.
It's unbelievable.
Rehab process.
Yes.
And it was grueling. It was grueling. So to see him back on the field was nothing short of amazing, man. I was just sitting around, and I said before this game, even before the season, when he decided to come back, I said if he played one game, if he threw and completed one pass, it would be the biggest comeback story that's ever happened in sports.
It's remarkable. We're talking to Sean Merriman, Lights Out podcast. Couple of stories with quarterbacks who had some issues on the field. Jimmy G gets benched. The 49ers are now 2-3. Their schedule gets a lot more difficult now. What do you think about the status of the 49ers right now?
Well, they've been riddled with injuries, man. Nick Bosa, for one, going down, that hit them hard because he's a guy that you can count on for, 1 or 2 turnovers a game. And that makes a big difference when you got a guy out there that's forcing 3 and outs that is, can get you a turnover, cause an interception or sack, force fumble. Those are game-changing plays. And when he's not out there, they're showing that they need every little piece they can to go and win a football game because Jimmy Garoppolo is not it. He's not going to go out and just take over the game. He makes in the past, he's made very good decisions. Not a huge playmaker, but really, really know how to manage the game and use the players around him. The Nick Bosa's of the world and the great defense they have, and guys just dropping like flies, not just on the team, but in the National Football League. And it's going to be, very interesting what's going to happen here going forward because, they paid Jimmy G a lot of money, and they expect him to, play, like an elite quarterback, and he's just not right now.
Did we learn more about the Indianapolis Colts or the Cleveland Browns in the Browns win that got them to 4-1, which has Cleveland celebrating like crazy? Phillip Rivers, couple of interceptions, never felt like the Colts really got things rolling. Who do we learn more about?
Well, there's no doubt about it that Cleveland right now is hot in the way they're playing. They're one of the most exciting teams in football, and the points that they put up against Dallas week before and come right back out. That's a good Indy team. They have one of the best defenses in football. They have one of the best offensive lines in football. Obviously, you would love to see Phillip Rivers not make some mistakes as he did his last year with the Chargers. You would like him to see him make better decisions. But you got to give Cleveland credit. They're hot right now, and they're scary.
Last question for you. We're talking to Sean Merriman. Check out the Lights Out podcast, breaking down the NFL weekend with him. Appreciate him getting up early with us on Monday morning here. Chargers are playing against the Saints. Obviously, you know the Chargers well. The Saints suspended, news came out, Michael Thomas because he punched a teammate in practice, kind of the walkthrough. Have you ever seen that happen before in your time playing football? How common is it, and what does that tell us, if anything, about the internal dynamics of the Saints?
Well, I haven't seen it in a walkthrough. Obviously there's fights. I've been in several myself, but it's one of these things that you are spending so much time with each other, and these are really your brothers on the team. And the little bit of disruption or anyone who has a problem, these things happen. It's not a big issue. Probably made more of a big issue now in the way the game is and how things get out. But you have to. I don't look into it being a team problem. This could be a isolated incident that Michael Thomas had a problem with another individual, and you have to make an example of him by the suspension to get everybody else's attention because, he's so important to that team and that franchise that you have to make sure that, guys, this is not allowed here going forward. And we're going to show you it's not allowed by suspending our best player we have on the team. So if that was their reasoning behind doing that, I think it was smart because then you kind of set the tone across the board.
I know I said last question, but we talked about this with you last week too. Justin Herbert, he's now officially won the job. How do you think the locker room reacts when Tyrod Taylor didn't really lose it? The doctor who gave him that injection may have lost it. How does that play in the locker room?
Well, let's kind of keep things on the table. They drafted Justin Herbert because he was going to be the starter. Now, I thought he was going to be the starter by week 6, 7, somewhere in the middle of the season. But he's been playing well. And outside of Tyrod, and the doctor having those issues, he still was hurt. I mean, no one goes and voluntarily gets shot up just because they like the feel of it. So yep. He did have an injury there. So at some point in time, Justin Herbert was going to take the starting position anyway. So, with that being said, he has a bright future. He'll make some rookie mistakes here and there and trying to force some things, throwing across his body and making a bad decision here and there too. But he is the future of that franchise, and I think they did extremely well by drafting.
Sean Merriman, go listen to the Lights Out podcast. Appreciate the time, my man. We'll talk to you next week.
You got it. Thank you.
That is Sean Merriman. I am Clay Travis. When we come back, we will break down more of college football, scheduled to be joined by the man who called OU Texas, Joel Klatt. Should be a lot of fun chopping up everything with him in what was a wild weekend in college football. We'll get to that next. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Want to encourage you, go sign up for the Outkick VIP right now. You will absolutely love it. Exclusive access to Jason Whitlock and myself. VIP phone line. When we open up the phone lines, let you guys jump right to the front of the line. You can comment on all the articles. Access to our VIP message board. We have an absolutely fantastic offering for you. Go to Outkick.com and check it out today. This is Outkick the Coverage on Fox Sports Radio.
10 years ago,
the LA Lakers, the 2010 NBA champions.
10 years later, a historic franchise is once again NBA champions.
This championship belongs to the Lakers.
17 titles never felt so good. And it was all heard on Fox Sports Radio.
You know what's really scary? Seeing just how much you could have been saving on car insurance by switching to Geico. It's almost as scary as that homemade elf costume your mom made you wear back in junior high school. No, Geico can't erase the memory of tripping down the hallway in oversized pointy shoes, but they can save you 15% or more on car insurance. Stop waking up at night in a cold sweat. Just switch to Geico and save. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance at Geico.
This is you waiting for dinner on an ordinary vacation.
It's a 2-hour wait for a table.
This is you waiting for dinner on a real vacation. Go on a real vacation. Go RVing. Take the wheel at your nearest RV dealer or at GoRVing.com.
With Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One with a preview of Monday Night Football with the Los Angeles Chargers at the New Orleans Saints. Kurt, it's a unique matchup of signal callers. The Chargers rookie Justin Herbert faces off against 20-year veteran Drew Brees, who entered the league when Herbert was just 3 years old.
Hard to believe we can even say that, but it's going to be a fun matchup. Drew Brees kind of turned it around last week, played a lot better football after everybody was questioning him, and Justin Herbert, I think, has been a nice surprise. Even though he got the job due to the injury with Tyrod Taylor, he's done a nice job of making big plays and giving this team a spark.
We're looking forward to the Chargers at the Saints on Monday Night Football.
Remember to listen to Westwood One's coverage of the NFL all season long. Right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Sure thing, we can help you with your wipers. If yours are squeaking or streaking, it's probably time to replace them. We've got great deals on wipers that can stand up to any weather. Right now, you can get a $10 AutoZone gift card by mail or email when you buy 2 Rain-X Quantum wiper blades. And with our next day delivery and free same-day store pickup, you can get them fast. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions and details at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. For the ones working tirelessly to keep their coworkers safe. For the ones rising to new challenges. For the ones rebuilding stronger than before. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. Free access to product specialists, safety recovery guides, and 24/7 support. It's part of our commitment to help you adapt and recover in these challenging times. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
In today's world, a lot is going on, but one thing is always true. You need to take care of yourself. The skin clinics can help. Age, diet, genetics, and current events can conspire to make you look and feel much older than you are. It doesn't have to be that way. Call the skin clinics and let their expertly trained nurses, estheticians, and staff choose the treatment that best suits you and your pocket. There's so much you can do. Consider skin resurfacing and rejuvenation, lash extensions and specialty brows, injectables, medical-grade chemical peels, laser hair reduction, waxing, facials, makeup applications, and even services just for men. The Skin Clinics has it all in a caring, safe environment, always observing current social distancing guidelines. Go to theskinclinic.com to find out more and call today for your appointment at 901-345-SKIN. That's 901-345-SKIN. Taking care of yourself is good for you and your loved ones. Come to the Skin Clinics, 1300 Wolf Park Drive in Germantown.
Hey, Tennessee, sports betting is almost here, and FanDuel Sportsbook is giving you an exclusive offer to get started. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook is giving users $50 in free bets just for signing up. You heard that right. They're giving you $50 in free site credit to register and verify early. No deposit required. FanDuel is America's #1 sports betting site for a reason. They've got odds on all the biggest sports in a simple, intuitive app that makes it easy to find the bet you're looking for, then lock it in. And unlike other sportsbooks, once you win, FanDuel gets you your cash in as little as 24 hours. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. But right now, the right thing for you to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and check out their fantastic app for yourself. Just be sure to sign up and register using promo code BIGHEAD. That's me, Peter, with the big head, so they know I sent you. Use promo code BIGHEAD, and when you verify your account, you'll receive $50 in site credit when FanDuel Sportsbook is live. That's promo code BIGHEAD to get $50 in site credit when FanDuel Sportsbook is live. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem? Call Redline 1-800-889-9789.
There are so many ways that you can get this talent. There's radio.
You can stick with us on radio.
Podcast.
Everything you hear, we podcast it.
Streaming.
Listen on demand anytime you want.
YouTube.
And don't forget,
Twitter at Fox Sports Radio.
Got some tweets I want to get to.
Oh, there's Asking Alexa or Google Play.
So blame it on that damn social media.
There's so many ways.
I feel like Oprah. You get the show. You get the show. You get the show.
We're audio and we're all over the place.
We're all set.
We're Fox Sports Radio. Baseball's postseason continues tonight with the National League Championship Series.
That is belted. Deep left field. And that is gone.
It all begins at 7:30 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Perk up your ears for Farmers Policy Perks. From discounts to added benefits, you can get a whole lot of something. Get a quote by calling 1-800-FARMERS.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available with select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night.
Welcome back in, Geico Outkick Studios. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us. Monday morning edition, breaking down everything in the NFL and in college football. And though I loathe him immensely, Joel Klatt is Fox's college football lead analyst, and he had a whale of a game between Texas and Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout, Red River Rivalry, Red River Showdown, whatever they call it these days. Joel, thanks for getting up early with us. And, I mean, it was an unbelievable game, right? I mean, and I want to start with this question before we even get into specifically your game. Does defense not exist anymore in college football?
Yeah, I don't know if I kind of put that out on social on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Basically, just like, can we stop with this whole, this whole notion or narrative that, like, well, this conference does play defense, that conference doesn't play defense. It's just like, look, defense is just dead everywhere. And you'll see it pop up here and there, like Kentucky. Apparently.
The only person who got shut down in the SEC was Mike Leach, which makes no sense because, I mean, his team went out and put up 600 yards passing against LSU. And maybe I got a good LSU question for you in general. But I think Georgia is elite defensively, but I've never seen, Joel, Alabama get torched like Lane Kiffin torched them on Saturday night. Now, to be fair to Alabama.
You've talked about this. Did he... Was the little smirk at the handshake? Did he say, like, I thought they played defense in the SEC? That's what I thought. Like, I've heard that's what he said to Nick, and that's what was like the little like exchange with them after the game.
And so I need to get Lane on the show again here soon. But we had Lane on a while back, and when he coached at Tennessee, they lost the first year that Alabama won the national championship. When Mount Cody blocked that kick and everything else happened with it, there was like at the end of the game, Kiffin gets the kick blocked, they don't win, comes on, out to midfield, then goes to shake Saban's hand, and he said, "We'll get you next year." And I mean, first of all, it's such a cocky thing to say, right? But I think Saban kind of loves it, right? I think he likes Lane Kiffin's cockiness, even though that's not really the Nick Saban persona. I think he respects it. And even like Kiffin calling him elderly and everything else. I mean, I think he knows Kiffin is different than he is, but I think Saban respects it because he respects the fact that Kiffin is a really good football mind, right? I think if you're good at something, even if you're not the same exact personality as someone else, you kind of respect their talent in some way as well. And I think that's where we are. But I mean, the most amazing stat I saw, Joel, about that game wasn't even about what Ole Miss did. It was that the Ole Miss defense, did you see this stat? Alabama got the ball 11 times.
Like possible yardage, like total possible yardage. Total
possible.
Gained all but like 29 possible yards.
All but 41 yards. Like if Ole Miss had not even had defense, I believe the number is Alabama got 723 yards of offense, right, which is unheard of. And if there had not been a defense aligned against them, they would have, and everybody knows me doing like, they would have gotten 764 total yards. So Ole Miss's entire defensive game plan took away 41 yards of potential Alabama offense in the entire game. They stopped Alabama at the 1 yard line and got a turnover, and they stopped them also at made them punt from the 40. That was it. That was all they did the whole game.
So here's what's so wild is that we're seeing that everywhere, right? I mean, even and it's even gone back a couple of years. We've seen great defenses show up in playoff games and even Alabama teams and give up a ton of points. Remember those Deshaun Watson Clemson teams that were playing Alabama in the national championship? It just turned into absolute shootouts. And
even Auburn against Alabama with Nick Marshall. Remember, it was like Alabama suddenly realized, okay, we've got to score 50 to win games, and it kind of changed the way that Saban calls football. Well,
not only that, but it's changed the way that he looks at his staff. Remember, that's when he went and got Lane, and he kind of changed his whole mantra about like, hey, we're going to run it and play great defense, and now it's we're going to play exceptional offense, explosive offense, and by the way, Sarkisian. Man, I tell you what, he is doing something right because that's as explosive and as quality of an offense as there is in the country. And I know for a fact he was up for a couple of jobs here in the offseason and was basically the number one guy. And I don't know what he was promised, or if anything, but I think there's a reason he's still at Alabama, in particular with where Nick is at. You've speculated on this. I don't know how long Nick is going to coach. I think the next coach at Alabama is probably their offense coordinator.
Oh, wow. I mean, that would be really – I mean, that's assuming Dabo's not going to come, things like that. But that's pretty fascinating to think about how exactly that might shake down. We're talking to Joel Klatt. All right, we had the big win by Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher. We had the Clemson domination of Miami. Georgia in the second half just put a whipping on Tennessee. What stood out to you?
Just wasn't quite ready yet.
That's right. What stood out to you the most about the contenders' performances in college football?
I was most pleasantly surprised, I guess you could say, with Georgia because I just thought at some point this quarterback is just not going to cut it. And I think Stetson Bennett's a decent player, but and listen, maybe Tennessee's not the team that he's going to have to, step up there and go blow for blow. And maybe that's going to be Alabama, but then Alabama, gives up 1 million yards to Ole Miss. I think that one was my biggest pleasantly surprised. I'm like, okay, Georgia's really, really good. And then there were a couple that I was just like incredibly disappointed in. Really 3 to be exact. Florida, LSU, and Texas. Yeah. Those 3 teams, I didn't get it. I didn't understand the result. I don't understand how Florida goes to A&M and loses that game. And I know A&M is good, but it's like, to me, Florida was that team that I thought was going to be the team in the East, in particular with where Georgia's quarterback position is. LSU, I mean, give me a break. And Texas had all the pressure on them. They're not supposed to lose that game to a rebuilding OU team that's won 2 or lost back-to-back Big 12 games for the first time since the John Blake era, right? I mean, so those were the 3 I thought most disappointing.
What happens now? Like every year it feels like Texas and Oklahoma, it hasn't been the case that both of those teams are really, really good where for a while it was, right? But the last few years it's been like, oh, whoever loses, it's like the loser has more to lose than the winner has to win. Does that make sense? So I felt like at the end of that game, if Lincoln Riley had lost, I know Lincoln Riley's had a tremendous amount of success, but 0-3 in the Big 12, it's like, oh, what in the world's wrong with Lincoln Riley? And if Tom Herman had lost, which he did, it's like, man, Tom Herman, I was looking at the stats. I think he's 27-17. Am I right about that in 4 years now at Texas or something like that? Maybe that's his Big 12. That's his Big 12 record, maybe.
That sounds about right. I do know that he has lost 17 games, and the reason that I think that that's significant, in particular for the Texas fan base, is that from 2001 to 2009, so basically just short of a decade, Mac Brown lost a total of 16 games, and only 5 of them to unranked opponents. And now, since OU was unranked, that's the 7th loss for a Herman Texas team when they were ranked, and 7 losses to unranked teams. That's just, I don't think that that's going to cut it. So to quickly backtrack, I thought Lincoln, because of where their roster is, because of all the opt-outs, transfers, everything going on with OU this year, I thought that he had enough equity in the bank, if you will, right? Like investment, where he was going to be just fine. Now, would they have liked to lose that game? No, obviously, and people would have been grumbling here and there, but that's all it would have been was grumbling. Whereas at Texas, now this is going to be a lot of momentum, right? People down there are not going to be happy. They're going to, in particular with the way that it happened. It's not like Texas went out there and played great against another great team and lost. They played really average and sloppy again against what I would classify as the worst OU team in the last decade, probably, with several young players out there. And they lose because they're undisciplined and don't make the plays when they need to. And that's just not going to cut it, right? So I think that there's an immense amount of pressure now on Tom for the rest of the season. He might have to roll the table, if you will, during the course of the rest of this season.
Yeah, and to recircle back on that, 27-17 now in 4 years at Texas, 18-12 in the Big 12 as he works now through his 4 years at Texas so far. So that's where he is. Big picture. Georgia, Alabama are playing this coming weekend. It's going to be a monster game in Tuscaloosa. Who do you make the favorite? Who do you think wins?
I feel bad for Georgia because they've looked bad. Yeah, like I just can't not say Alabama should be the favorite, and I think that they're going to win.
Yeah,
right. Because like even if the Georgia defense plays really well, I just that offense is insanely good.
Yeah.
And they're going to score, I think, 35 plus points.
And you question whether Stetson Bennett can get to 30 or 35. Exactly right.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And that's, I think I would favor Alabama by probably 3.5, 3 and a hook probably at this point. I'm sure that the odds makers are going to put them up there by 6. Is that what it is? I don't even know.
I think that Bama opened 6. Dub, what is the absolute number now? It's come down some?
Yeah, I'm seeing -4 right now.
Okay. So I saw it open around 6.5 was the first number that I saw hung. So some early money came in on Georgia. I do think that we're going to see like kind of an old school physical style game because basically Kirby Smart runs the same defense that Nick Saban has been running his entire time at Alabama, right? Kirby has just built another version of Alabama at Georgia. And there's been a lot of people who have tried to do that. Tennessee's trying to do it with Jeremy Pruitt. And, most of them haven't been able to do it, right? Because Nick Saban is Nick Saban for a reason. But Georgia has gotten the closest to basically mirror imaging what Alabama tries to do.
Clay, if I was Alabama, here's the thing I would do is I would commit every resource possible to forcing Stetson Bennett to be the reason that Georgia is successful, right?
Yep.
So from my seat, Georgia cannot run the football if I'm Alabama. They cannot run the football. If Stetson Bennett throws for 350 and you end up losing, you tip your cap and you walk in and you say, okay, we'll probably see him in the SEC championship game, and we'll figure it out then. But if he throws for 200 and then they run for 250 and you lose, shame on you. So, and I think Nick Saban knows that. And I think that they're going to be able to, like I said earlier, score 35, probably 40 points, even against a really, really good Georgia team. So I think Alabama will win, and I think that's the reason is because I think that there's a clear path, a clear strategy, in particular for a good defensive mind like Nick Saban to go against that Georgia team.
The other big takeaway, I would say, in terms of looking down the line towards the college football playoff was Clemson seems to love stomping other ACC teams that dare to try to ascend to their throne, right? And what I mean by that was they just went out and absolutely obliterated Miami. And now Notre Dame is the last team kind of on the horizon, I would say, in the ACC that has what feels like a legitimate chance to challenge them. Does Notre Dame have the horses to challenge Clemson, or are you basically writing the Tigers in to the college football playoff?
Well, think about it this way. Notre Dame has to beat them at a minimum one time.
Yep.
Because, there's no divisions, if I'm not mistaken. They're just going to put the top two teams win percentage-wise into the ACC championship game. And so because of that, even if Notre Dame loses this game, they're going to have to eventually beat them. I just don't think that they have the horses to answer your question. And here's the other part of this that I think is fascinating. Don't you kind of feel? I kind of feel like I can't even. Gerard Butler was in that 300 movie.
Yes,
and I can't remember his character's name off the top of my head. But remember, the 300, they relish the opportunity. They're like, oh, we finally have a battle that's worthy of us.
Yes.
Right? I get the sense that that's how Clemson goes through the ACC schedule. They're bored out of their minds. And then it's finally, a team that everyone thinks can run with us, can play with us, can be on the same field with us, can potentially test us. And they relish that opportunity. They've won, I think they've won now 36 straight non-college football playoff games. How about that?
It's unbelievable.
That's an incredible run, and I think Notre Dame is the next team in that crosshair, where it's they are just licking their chops to be on a field in which they feel like they could be tested, or there's a thought that they will be tested, and with that defensive line as they get more experience because they're young, and with that backfield. Clay, think about this: you watched football all day on Sunday yesterday, right? I watched a lot of football as well. Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence are NFL starters right now. Travis Etienne is a number one featured NFL back in a Clemson uniform, right? Almost any of those teams out there, maybe save for Carolina when McCaffrey's healthy, or New York when Barkley's he's going to get selected and be a featured back. Right, that's what he is right now. Trevor Lawrence is an NFL starting quarterback right now. He's one of the top, probably I would even put him higher than the top 32. Trevor Lawrence is a top 30 quarterback on the face of the planet currently. Right? This is not he needs further development currently. That's what you're facing when you face Clemson. Let that sink in for a moment, right?
Oh, I think you're seeing it right now with why LSU is so bad. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit when we come back. I'm going to talk about that more. But I think there's a strong argument that the reason why LSU has fallen off the planet is not because they lost a lot of talent, right, with Edwards-Helaire and with Justin Jefferson just on the offensive side of the ball. But I think it's like when Auburn lost Cam Newton, right? They were an 8-4, 9-3 caliber team. And all of a sudden, LSU is man, everybody's like, what happened? Well, the answer is suddenly they don't have Superman under center, and it makes a big difference.
Think about what happened to even Urban Meyer's Florida teams after Tim Tebow left.
Oh, that's exactly right.
After Texas went, they did VY, then Colt McCoy, who was incredible, and Colt left, boom, they were done. So it's it happens to a lot of people, and you're absolutely seeing that at LSU. There's no doubt in my mind.
Outstanding stuff as always from Joel Klatt. Let me go ahead and bring in Eddie Garcia. What you got for me, Eddie?
Well, in the NBA, the season has come to an end.
That's it. It's over. This historic 2020 NBA championship belongs to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers conquer the bubble, and banner number 17 will soon hang in the rafters.
Final call from ABC. Game 6 of the NBA Finals saw the Lakers beat the Heat 106-93. LeBron James, 28 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists for his 11th Finals triple-double, which is the most all-time. He also wins his 4th Finals MVP. It's the 4th time he's won it, but with 3 different teams. And as you heard, the Lakers get their 17th NBA title in franchise history, tied for the most ever with the Celtics. Postseason baseball, Game 1, ALCS, Astros lose to the Rays, 2-1 the final. In Week 5 of the NFL, Sunday night, it was the Seahawks beating the Vikings 27-26 to improve to 5-0. Seattle quarterback Russell Wilson had a touchdown pass on 4th and goal with 15 seconds left to pull out the victory. In late action, Cowboys beat the Giants 37-34 on a last-second field goal, but they lose
lose starting quarterback Dak Prescott for the season. He suffered a dislocated and compound fracture of his right ankle. He's already had surgery. Again, he's out for the year. Browns over the Colts 35-23. Cleveland's 4-1. In early action, Raiders hand the Chiefs their first loss of the year, 40-32. Kansas City now 4-1 on the season. Steelers improved to 4-0 with a 38-29 win over the Eagles. Ravens are 4-1, beating the Bengals 27-3, and the Rams are 4-1. They beat the Washington football team 30-10. Panthers over the Falcons 23-16. Atlanta's 0-5, and after the game, they fired head coach Dan Quinn and GM Thomas Dimitroff. Now back to Clay Travis in the Geico Outkick the Coverage studios.
Thanks, Eddie. When we come back, we'll dive into that exact question about LSU and Joe Burrow, plus Auburn stole a game. We'll discuss that with Auburn superfan Dub. This is Outkick on Fox Sports Radio. But first, a word from Farmers.
You get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks. So much, I'm going to have to speed things up. You can get the claim-free discount, which gives you money off your homeowner's policy if you've been claim-free for 3 consecutive years. Also applies for 3 successive years, 3 years straight, and what's known to insurance fans as the claim-free three-peat. Get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks. Start with a quote by calling 1-800-FARMERS.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Now for the legal something.
Not available in every state. Only available with select Farmers branded policies, subject to terms and conditions. Underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Tons of scoring.
Touchdown!
Tons of stats.
You got dudes completing 70+% of their passes.
No defense.
No.
A coach fired. A GM fired.
Bill O'Brien, the GM.
Isn't that the same guy?
That's the problem.
When we go ham on the NFL, you'll hear it here on Fox Sports Radio.
If you're ever stopped at a railway crossing and the signals are flashing and you don't see the train or it appears to be moving slow and you're thinking maybe you could get across the tracks before the train comes, think about this. Even if the engineer sees you and applies emergency brakes right away, it can take a train over a mile to stop. By that time, it's too late and the resulting crash will be deadly. Stop. Trains can't.
Paid for by NHTSA.
What are real people saying about Skechers Arch Fit footwear? Joe from Hilton Head says, I need arch support, and these shoes have it. Joe, Skechers Arch Fit don't just have arch support, they have podiatrist certified arch support that was developed with over 20 years of data. Next, Pete from New York writes, great for walking. I stand a lot of work, and the Arch Fit keeps me comfortable. My feet don't feel tired at the end of the day. Okay, Pete gets it. He's walking, working, just living in Skechers Arch Fit. These shoes are great for virtually everybody. Find podiatrist certified Skechers Arch Fit at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Picking up an online order? No problem. It'll just be a moment. You know, we've got more convenient ways to shop besides our same-day store pickup. You can also shop from your car with our free curbside pickup. Or you can even shop completely from home with our free next-day delivery. Just order by 10 p.m. on AutoZone.com. Getting the job done just got easier. Free next-day delivery on eligible orders. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Progressive Motorcycle presents Road Wisdom from the Motor.
Half man, half motorcycle.
The road is everything you want it to be.
Everything.
As long as what you want is road.
To ride your motorcycle on.
Progressive Motorcycle also presents basic policy starting at $75 a year. Progressive Motorcycle, for those who were born to ride. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy is not available in all states.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Have you dreamed of owning a car that starts every time when you turn the key? A used car that looks good and doesn't break down when you go somewhere? Call 901-380-5800. Victory Auto Sales now. Do you want a car that doesn't come with a set of jumper cables in the front seat? Do you want a car that gets good gas mileage and really is reliable transportation? Call 901-380-5800. Victory Auto Sales now, or check out the website at victoryauto.org. Call or visit Victory Auto Sales at 4885 Elmore, just off Covington Pike now, for a car you can afford and financing that doesn't take your whole paycheck. When you call Victory Auto Sales at 380-5800, you can and throw away the jumper cables. When you buy a car from Victory Auto Sales, the tow truck driver will no longer be your best friend. Call Victory Auto Sales now, 901-380-5800 for a car that really is reliable transportation. Call 901-380-5800 now. That's Victory Auto Sales. VictoryAuto.org.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Periscope. Don't miss out on anything. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 on social media.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for a fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolfchase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
If you don't know us by now, first question. How is that possible? We're a fun-loving sports network. We give you insight.
This story is something I absolutely love.
We give you hot takes.
This is an insane hot take.
We give you the sports and information you need.
It's fun. It's the best.
As Biggie once said, if you don't know, now you know.
And if you don't know, now you know.
We're Fox Sports Radio.
This
is FS1. To find FS1 on your television, go to foxsports.com for details. FS1.
Perk up your ears for Farmers Policy Perks. From discounts to added benefits, you can get a whole lot of something. Get a quote by calling 1-800-FARMERS.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available with select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Back in, final segment, second hour of the program. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us. We're here in the Geico Outkick Studios. On November 6th and 7th, the world's best thoroughbreds will compete in 14 exhilarating races worth $31 million in purses and awards at the Breeders' Cup World Championships. Learn more about the Breeders' Cup World Championships at breederscup.com/2020. Just finished with Joel Klatt. We were talking a lot about college football, obviously. Hope a lot of you stayed up and watched Sunday Night Football. Incredible win for the Seattle Seahawks, and we obviously have been talking about that game as well. Decision by Mike Zimmer to go for it on 4th down. I think it's the right decision to try to end the game, but then for DK Metcalf basically to take over and just dominate on that final drive. The combination that he and Russell Westbrook have brought to bear already this year has been a lot of fun to watch. But as we finish with Joel Klatt, I said I was going to bring you guys back to talk about what I thought was an awful call. And it's such a rare call that you see happen. And this was in the Arkansas at Auburn game. Auburn had just missed a big field goal. They get the ball back. They are driving, and they're trying to clock the ball. And their quarterback, Bo Nix, it's a wet night, gets the ball, slips out of his hand. He fumbles it. He picks it back up, and he grounds it backwards. And everybody out there who's a football fan knows, even though you don't usually see somebody ground it backwards, a backwards pass is a fumble. Arkansas then recovers it. They go and they review it for like 5 minutes and decide that it's a illegal intentional grounding. And so there's a penalty there. but that there's no clear immediate recovery, which is a strange phrase because when you're grounding the ball backwards, when you're completing a pass, throwing a pass backwards, it's a lateral, but also somebody has to get to the ball, right? Because it's behind the line of scrimmage. So it's not like there's going to be somebody in the immediate presence of the ball necessarily. And so Auburn then comes out, knocks through a field goal to win by a couple of points. And it was, by and large, I thought, a totally blown call. Now, to be fair to the officials, I don't recall ever seeing a backwards grounding, right? Like where you have a quarterback take a snap and he immediately grounds the ball. And this is an exception to the usual intentional grounding rule in the first place because you're doing that specifically to stop the clock. And it was such a bad play by Bo Nix to fumble it that I think it kind of caught the officials unaware and they weren't thinking about the fact that it was a backwards pass. So as you break all of this down, Dub, you are an Auburn fan. Do you want to apologize to Arkansas fans for your school clearly stealing a win from them?
I mean, look. About the future of my Auburn Tigers here. As I look at the schedule and I look at our situation as it stands now, I'm not seeing a whole lot of wins moving forward on this schedule. Our offense, not very good. Our defense, not much better. And watching Ole Miss and Alabama play, I am terrified, obviously, of Alabama, and I am absolutely terrified of Ole Miss as well.
There are likely going to be, first of all, with 10 different SEC football games being played, I mean, I think what you're recognizing quickly is there are going to be a lot of losses, right? Because already there's only 2 undefeated SEC teams, and we've only played 3 weeks. Now, that's a little bit abnormal in general, but usually you're mixing in some out-of-conference games so you don't have 21 straight conference games being played and the overall caliber of competition. If you take away Vanderbilt, I think there's a lot of good, decent teams in the SEC this year, such that Georgia and Alabama, who play this weekend, are the only 2 undefeated teams left. But there's only 4 teams left outside of Georgia and Alabama who only have 1 loss. It's very much like the NFL in general in terms of the overall number of losses that are going to rain down. 6-4 when you are playing a 10-game SEC schedule is going to be a really good year. Because most years, if you win 6 conference games, you go 6-2 in conference. Usually you're going to win a bunch of games out of conference, right? Usually you got 4 wins out of conference, or at least 3. And so you're talking about a 9 or 10 win season most years when you win 6 conference games. So it's going to be intriguing to see how all this shakes out. When we come back, top of hour 3, we'll dive back into the biggest story in the world of sports right now, which is, as we've been talking a lot about during the show, the Dak Prescott injury, the big win for Russell Wilson down the stretch. Did Minnesota make the right decision to go for it? All that and more we will discuss. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us. This is Outkick the Coverage. Also, we'll bring in Dr. David Chow to discuss what the likely recovery process is going to be for Dak Prescott. All that still to come in the final hour, Monday edition of the show. This is Outkick on Fox Sports Radio.
Outkick the Coverage with Clay Travis.
T-Mobile for Business knows saving time and money is important for your business. That's why we're introducing Microsoft 365 on us, now included in our best business plans. With Office apps, Microsoft Teams, cloud storage, and more, Microsoft 365 on us gives you the tools you need to run your business. Stop by a T-Mobile store today. Qualifying plan required. Contact us to activate. 1 license per line, max 2 per account. Third-party terms apply. See T-Mobile.com for plan details.
Allstate has new, lower auto rates. Nope. Allstate has new, lower auto rates. Allstate has new, lower auto rates. Allstate has new, lower auto rates.
Allstate has new, lower auto rates. There we go. For new lower auto rates, visit Allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Savings vary. Prices vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Not applicable in California. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hey, Tennessee, sports betting is almost here, and FanDuel Sportsbook is giving you an exclusive offer to get started. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook is giving users $50 in free bets just for signing up. You heard that right. They're giving you $50 in free site credit to register and verify early. No deposit required. FanDuel is America's #1 sports betting site for a reason. They've got odds on all the biggest sports in a simple, intuitive app that makes it easy to find the bet you're looking for, then lock it in. And unlike other sportsbooks, once you win, FanDuel gets you your cash in as little as 24 hours. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. But right now, the right thing for you to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and check out their fantastic app for yourself. Just be sure to sign up and register using promo code BIGHEAD. That's me, Peter, with the big head, so they know I sent you. Use promo code BIGHEAD, and when you verify your account, you'll receive $50 in site credit when FanDuel Sportsbook is live. That's promo code BIGHEAD to get $50 in site credit when FanDuel Sportsbook is live. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem? Call Redline 1-800-889-9789.
For the ones working tirelessly to keep their coworkers safe. For the ones rising to new challenges. For the ones rebuilding stronger than before. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. Free access to product specialists, safety recovery guides, and 24/7 support. It's part of our commitment to help you adapt and recover in these challenging times. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
In today's world, a lot is going on, but one thing is always true. You need to take care of yourself. The skin clinics can help. Age, diet, genetics, and current events can conspire to make you look and feel much older than you are. It doesn't have to be that way. Call the skin clinics and let their expertly trained nurses, estheticians, and staff choose the treatment that best suits you and your pocket. There's so much you can do. Consider skin resurfacing and rejuvenation, lash extensions and specialty brows, injectables, medical-grade chemical peels, laser hair reduction, waxing, facials, makeup applications, and even services just for men. The Skin Clinics has it all in a caring, safe environment, always observing current social distancing guidelines. Go to theskinclinic.com to find out more and call today for your appointment at 901-345-SKIN. That's 901-345-SKIN. Taking care of yourself is good for you and your loved ones. Come to the Skin Clinics, 1300 Wolf Park Drive in Germantown.
Central Barbecue is committed to the health and safety of this community, who has supported Central for almost 20 years. Central Barbecue is still open for business with to-go and delivery options to serve the greater Memphis area with the same great barbecue you have come to know and love. With 4 locations to serve you, from downtown, midtown, and East Memphis, you can order your favorite barbecue and enjoy everything on the menu in the comfort of your own home. Call your nearest Central Barbecue location for more information on delivery and to-go options today.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, WPGFLP Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 5ash-367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test driven, checked out from head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
There's a new commissary in town. In Collierville, Germantown Commissary is doubling. Yeah, they're still going to have the old Germantown Commissary by the tracks, but now there's a huge new Germantown Commissary in Collierville at Poplar and Houston Levee Road. It's huge, too. There's a drive-through. There's plenty of parking. No telephone pole to get in your way. A cool patio. It's right by the track, so the tradition continues. And this is a tradition that's been around forever. That commissary is famous for hickory-smoked, slow-cooked Memphis-style barbecue. They've got a private party room at the new one in Collierville. Self-catering still continues. Party packs for $5.95. Basically, the great ribs, the great pulled shoulder, the great deviled eggs. Everything is there in Collierville and Germantown now. So there is now a Germantown and Collierville style of barbecue. It's called Germantown Commissary.
Welcome to Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston. Co-hosting Sports 56 Mornings is Anthony Sane. Here are Peter and Anthony with Sports 56 Mornings.